Did you just get a contractor's estimate that made your eyes bleed, and now you're wondering if you should be your own GC? How hard is it really, and how much money can you actually save? In this video, I'll walk you through what it really takes to manage your own build without losing your mind, and how to know if it's the right move for you. You'll learn what the best contractors do that sets them apart, and how to apply those same strategies to your own project. How to tell if you're a good fit for managing your own build, the biggest mistakes first-time owner builders make and how to avoid them, how to lead a successful build even if it's your first time. And I'll share how I changed the way I work with contractors to avoid out-of-budget bids, reduce stress, and create win-win collaborations from the start. If we haven't met yet, I'm Andrew, an architect who's helped hundreds of homeowners turn their vision into reality. With award-winning designs, large and small, I've seen what works, what doesn't, and where even smart people get blindsided. I'm not here to talk you into hiring me or anyone else. My job today is to give you a clear professional perspective on what it really takes to manage your own build, so you can make the right decision for your home, your budget, and your sanity. So you're here because you're staring at a contractor's estimate that made your stomach drop, or you're trying to avoid getting one that does. Maybe you're asking yourself, should I really pay that much to someone to manage the build? Can I really do it myself without losing my mind? This video is for you if you're serious about building a custom home, you're trying to make smart financial decisions, and you want to know exactly what you're getting into before you commit. I'm not here to scare you off or to talk you into hiring someone. I'm here to give you clarity. This is the kind of insight I wish more homeowners had before they started their build. So let's dig in and figure out what the right path looks like for you. Let's talk about what being your own general contractor actually means. Because a lot of people think it's just hiring some trades and checking in once in a while. Not quite. When you GC your own build, you're signing up to be the planner, the point person, and the problem solver every single day. Here's what a GC typically does. They act as the one person responsible for the entire construction team. They hire and coordinate every trade: excavation, concrete, framing, roofing, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, finished carpentry, painting. The list goes on. Buys or makes sure someone's buying all the materials. They're building and maintaining the construction schedule. They're organizing inspections, permits, utility hookups. They're paying their subs, tracking invoices, and keeping an eye on the lender's draw schedule. They're resolving job site issues in real time. And sometimes that means stopping what you're doing right now to fix the problem. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just be part-time about it, that's where a lot of owner builders get burned. You might think, my GC wouldn't be on site all day, so why should I? But here's the difference. That GC probably has a site super, someone whose only job it is to keep things moving, catch mistakes early, and answer those questions when they're coming up. If you're the GC and you're not there, the trades will either make the call without you, leave and move on, or get it wrong and keep going. And by the time you find out, it's already cost you. So if you GC your own build, you're not just the decision maker. You're the project manager, the on-site liaison, the materials chaser, the schedule enforcer, the budget hawk, the inspector communicator. Have fun with that. And let's be honest, the person who gets blamed if something goes wrong. Still interested? Great! You're the kind of person this video was made for. Let's take a minute to talk about whether managing your own home build is actually a fit for you. You might think it comes down to whether you've worked in construction before, and that's great, but honestly, it's not the most important factor. What really matters is, can you manage people? Can you make fast decisions? Can you show up again and again, even when things get hard? There's a lot of time before it looks like a real house. Let's run a quick checklist. You've managed a team before, run a business, or led a big project before. You're comfortable making decisions when there isn't a clear right answer. You don't mind spreadsheets, scheduling, budgeting. You can work remotely or have the flexibility to work on site. You've already looked into a lender who allows owner builder loans. If you're nodding your head, that's a great sign. But let me say this. Being smart or handy doesn't automatically make someone a good general contractor. I've known lawyers, stockbrokers, even a chiropractor who GC'd their own homes. The chiropractor? He wasn't my client, just a friend whose project I visited, but he was actually the worst at it. He was confident, skilled with tools, and totally unaware of building science. He installed his radiant floor heating in the wrong layer of assembly, which basically turned his heated floor into an ice rink. At one point, I saw an engineered beam installed upside down, high up, but I could spot it right away. I told him, "You gotta call your structural engineer." He got lucky. There was enough tolerance built in that it didn't fail, but it could have. The point is, this is where confidence without context gets people into trouble. You don't have to know everything, and you don't want to rely on luck, but you do need to know what questions to ask and when to stop to get help. Now you're starting to see being your own GC doesn't just mean organizing a few trades. It means answering 5 questions before your morning coffee, remembering who's supposed to show up today, and noticing that the lumber delivery is wrong before it causes a domino effect across 3 other trades. One homeowner said it best. "We thought we were just hiring subs and setting a schedule. Instead, we had to figure out everything in advance: paint colors, appliance sizes, where to put the shower valve, because if you don't have the answers, subs get frustrated. And when that happens, the work suffers." And here's the part that jumped out at me. That kind of frustration usually means there was no architect, at least not one who stayed involved during construction. Because that kind of coordination, that's what architects do. We don't just design beautiful spaces, we figure out how those parts fit together before someone has to guess. And when no one's doing that, the whole job slows down. So yes, people GC their own homes all the time, but the ones who succeed are the ones who plan obsessively, make fast decisions, and don't wait until the job starts to figure out how it works. Because when answers aren't ready, it's not just annoying, it delays everything. So, can you do it without prior experience? Yes, people do it all the time. But should you do it? That depends on your bandwidth, your budget flexibility, and how much problem solving you can realistically take on. And here's something most people don't realize until it's too late. If you're getting a construction loan, there's usually a 12-month clock. After that, you can face penalties, higher interest rates, even forced to refinance at a worse term. So if you're learning how to manage a build while you're in the middle of one, delays can cost you more than just time. They can blow your budget wide open. Doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It means you need to go into it with your eyes open. And if you want help figuring out what parts of the job you're actually ready to take on, I made a free resource called the Artistic Home Planner. It walks you through the early stages of planning, from site research to budgeting to picking the right architect or builder, and shows you where you can take the lead and where to get support. The link's in the description. GC or self-GC? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous subcontractors, or to take arms against a sea of budget overruns, and by hiring, end them. Let's talk about something that doesn't show up on your materials list, your budget spreadsheet, or your build timeline, but has the power to make or break your entire project. Relationships. Not with your bank, not yours with your partner when things go sideways. I'm talking about the relationship between builder and the trades. When a seasoned GC shows up on a job site, their subs know them. They've worked together for years. They've already had the job site arguments, the late night texts, the mistakes, and the loyalty tests. So when that builder calls the HVAC crew or the tile setter or the drywall team, they get a call back. They get squeezed in. They get the A team. When you GC your own home, even if you're organized and respectful, you're still a one-off. And in a market where good trades are booked solid, most will prioritize the builders who feed them steady work. It's not personal, it's just business. Even contractors get undercut. During the 2020 frenzy, a builder I know lost his plumber mid-project because another builder offered a $10,000 bonus to jump ship. So relationships matter at every level. Now, does that mean it's impossible to get good trades as a first-time GC? No, but you do need to work harder to earn their trust and to keep your job attractive to them. Because here's the part no one really talks about. You don't just have to hire trades, you have to prove to them that you're ready, that you know what you're doing, and that you're not going to waste their time. Whether it's fair or not, there's a stereotype that trades often have about homeowners running their own jobs. It sounds like this. They don't know what's involved, they don't know what to ask for, they change their minds every day, and they expect me to stop what I'm doing and teach them how this all works. And let's be honest, that's not their job. Your framer wants to frame, your electrician wants to wire, your tile setter wants to tile. They're not there to walk you through decision fatigue or guess what your Pinterest board meant. So if you want to earn their respect and get their best work, you need to show up prepared. That means clear decisions, detailed plans, answers ready when they ask, and a schedule that's not built on wishful thinking. Show them you're ready to move fast, be decisive, and treat them like the professionals they are, and you'll be amazed at how differently they respond to your project. If you treat subs well, communicate clearly, and pay on time, you're already ahead of most first-time GCs. Let's talk about the one thing that separates great general contractors from the ones who cause weeks, sometimes months of delays. Logistics. Early in my career, before I developed the process I use now, I had a project where the client wanted to design as they went. It sounded smart and nimble, but I learned the hard way that "we'll pick it later" is a recipe for chaos. Why? Because, like a lot of people, they were rushing to get a permit and break ground. They underestimated how much time and thought it takes to get all the finishes and fixtures right. To them, that felt like decor, something you can figure out later. But the reality is those decisions affect how the house is built. And sometimes decor can take even longer than fixtures. So in this case, the client wanted to pick out tiles, doors, plumbing fixtures after framing was all done. But here's what had to happen first. We had to integrate those choices into the actual design, get their approval, place the orders, wait for everything to be made and shipped, and then wait for the trades to come back, since they already moved on to other jobs. And the GC on that job, not great. He wasn't pushing anything forward, no urgency, no follow-up, just reacting. So the whole job hit a standstill, all because we didn't front load those decisions. And this was with a GC. So what separates the best? It's not just experience, it's how they run the job. The best contractors I've worked with don't try to do everything themselves. They have a structure. They've got someone on site, usually a dedicated foreman, we call him a site super, handling trades coordination, job site questions, inspections, material deliveries, daily progress tracking. And they've got someone in the office handling scheduling, long lead item orders, managing change orders, coordinating the budget and draw schedules. That division of labor is huge. Most smaller GCs who are out there swinging the hammer, they're answering questions in between nail gun bursts and planning at 9 p.m. when they're already behind. Even with great drawings, they're not building a plan. They're not looking at the drawings. They're flying by the seat of their pants. And when no one's thinking ahead, trades show up before materials, a missing part, delays, everything 3 weeks. The electrician's booked by the time you're ready, the schedule slips, and so does your budget. If you're going to be your own GC, this is what you're stepping into. It's not just about hiring people. You need to run the job like a business. So ask yourself, who's handling logistics during the day? Who's watching the long game? Who's holding the calendar together? Because that's the difference between we got it done and we survived barely. I mentioned earlier how that stalled project where the client kept changing their mind was a turning point for me. But what I didn't say is that some of those projects didn't just stall, they never got built. We designed something beautiful, thoughtful, right in line with what the client wanted, and then hit the bidding phase and realized we were way off budget. And I used to think that's on me. Maybe it was. Budgeting isn't my superpower, but nobody wins when a dream design never becomes a real home. That's why I developed what I call the artistic home process. It's designed to eliminate guesswork, prevent budget blowups, and actually get you to the finish line. And here's the thing, this process works even if you're not a budgeting expert. Because when you bring the right people into the process at the right time, you don't have to predict every cost up front. You just have to make space for collaboration. That's what sets up smarter decisions, earlier course corrections, and way few budget blowups later. Enter the pause. Once we have a good picture of the design, we take what I call the pause. It's not a delay, it's a decision-making moment. During this phase, I invite more than one builder to review the plans and give early price ranges. The client gets to learn and compare how different builders interact with me and with them, and chooses who they want to move forward with. No contracts yet, just clarity, collaboration, and a chance to start the relationship before the pressure is on. This gives the builder a real understanding of the project. It gives the client a feel for how they communicate and solve problems. And it gives us time to adjust the design to hit the budget, spot long lead items early, and make sure everyone's on the same page before construction starts. If you've heard of design build, this might sound familiar. But here the client is really in the driver's seat. You're choosing the right architect and the right builder for your project. You're not locked into an in-house team. You're building the right team for your home. Because let's be honest, the best design for your home isn't going to come out of the back room of a design build office. With the artistic home process, you're bringing in top-tier collaborators, people who respect each other's expertise and who want to build what's being designed. It's not just efficient, it's personalized, collaborative, and it gets built. Because I've done it the old way. Design it all, get 3 cold bids, try to compare apples to oranges, then realize the builder you like is also the one you can't afford. This way, the builder is involved early. Pricing is aligned with the design, and you're not playing catch up after the permits are in. If you're thinking about GCing your own project, you can still apply this thinking. Bring in multiple bids early, compare not just cost, but communication style. Start relationships before you need something. The more you align up front, the smoother your build will go. Now, if you're GCing your own project, you can bring in these trades early. It won't feel the same as when I bring a builder in during the pause. There's already trust and a shared language. Most GCs are already looking to partner with architects because they know it makes their job easier and the project better. So that kind of dynamic just doesn't exist when you're calling in subs as a one-off. They're not there to collaborate on the big picture. They just want plans, quick answers, and to get the job done. But even with early alignment, there's one thing that can sync a project faster than anything else. What's in writing is what gets built. Let's talk about the part of building no one gets excited about, but that will absolutely wreck your timeline and sanity if you ignore it. Scope, contracts, assumptions. The single most common phrase I hear from frustrated owner builders is, wait, I thought that was included. When you GC your own build, or even when you hire someone who isn't super buttoned up, things fall through the cracks. Not because people are lazy, but because no one was clearly responsible for catching those gaps. Trades focus on their trade. They're not thinking about your entire house. They're thinking, what am I being paid to do? What materials do I need to bring? And unless someone's spelling that out in writing and coordinating all the pieces, something's gonna get missed. And when that happens, it doesn't feel like a small mistake. It feels like a betrayal, like you're getting nickeled and dimed, or like your project just became a runaway train. I've even heard homeowners say, our contractor just told us the septic field isn't included in our bill. That's kind of important, right? But if it's not in writing, it's not part of the job. That's what separates the pros. They document, they clarify, they scope every trade like their schedule depends on it, because it does. So if you're managing your own build, here's your mantra. If it's not written down, it's not happening. Say it again, write it on your whiteboard, tape it to your job site wall, tattoo it to your eyelids. Even a simple one-page estimate should include what's included and what isn't, who's supplying what, when they're showing up, and how they get paid. Clarity equals less stress, fewer delays, and trades who actually want to come back. Because if your subs feel like you're winging it, they're not coming back. They've got other jobs, and now you're the bottleneck. And that's just the normal stuff. Let's talk about what happens when things go wrong and how to stay sane when they do. There's a quote by this great architect Tadao Ando that I always loved. Architecture is war. It doesn't mean be an asshole. It means you have a vision and you have to fight for it. Because every day you'll face tidal waves of pressure to compromise, to rush, to settle. So if you're taking this on for yourself, know this. It doesn't feel like a side project. It becomes your full-time mental job, even if you're working a full-time job elsewhere. You're answering questions at 8 a.m., fielding texts at lunch, and lying awake at 2 a.m. wondering if the beam you ordered is the right size. It's exhausting, it's relentless, and it can be incredibly lonely. That's why you need more than just a labor and materials budget. You need a risk budget for when things go sideways, a burnout budget for when you hit the wall, and a support system for when you can't go it alone. Because there will be setbacks. A sub won't show up. A delivery will be wrong. Prices will spike. Something will break. One owner builder said, we're 15 months in and I'm so burnt out, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I should have hired a GC and just cried once. So ask yourself, can I clear the mental space to be on this job every day? Do I like solving problems under pressure? Who will I call when things go off the rails? Because every build hits the wall eventually. The difference is, will you be ready when it does? Great GCs have been through this fire before. They know what can go wrong and they know how to adjust. If this is your first time, that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you need to build in space to learn as you go and protect your sanity along the way. So now you're starting to see the full picture. What a GC really does, what it takes to do it yourself, what can go wrong, and how to prepare if you still want to go for it. Mentally, logistically, financially. So the question becomes, why do people still do this? Why take on something this stressful, this complex, this intense? Because when it works, when you plan well, lead well, and build something that reflects your vision, it's life-changing. And if you're still with me, there's a good chance that you're not just curious, you're serious. This is a part that catches people off guard. If you're building a home, you can't just walk into a bank and get a regular mortgage. If you're managing the build yourself, you'll need a construction loan, and not just any construction loan. You'll need one that allows for owner-builder projects. That's the term they use. Some lenders do this. Some do it this month and not next month. So just know this part takes work. When you're shopping lenders, here's what you want to ask them directly. Do you allow owner-builder loans? What are the contingency reserve requirements? How do you release funds? Only after the work is completed, partially up front, when you're paying for it? What is the maximum build time before penalties or rate increases kick in? Some banks will only release funds after the lender does an inspection and confirms the work is done. and everything's installed. That means you front the cash for materials, labor, deposits, and wait to be reimbursed, which is fine if you're liquid. But if you're relying on that loan for cash flow, that's where projects stall. Say your windows take 12 weeks to arrive. You have to pay for them up front, but you can't get reimbursed until they're installed. The bank's waiting, and you're burning loan interest while you wait. Now, this is true whether you're hiring a GC or managing the build yourself. But if you're managing it, you have to be the one who figures this all out. What funds are available when, how to sequence payments and inspections, and how to stay cash flow positive through it all. That's when the added pressure really kicks in. For those of you in the Puget Sound area, I've put together a free home build financing guide. It includes the local banks that do custom home construction loans, which ones are open to owner builders, when and how they release funds, and what to expect at each stage. I'll drop it in the description. Feel free to grab it even if you're not local. It'll help you know what to look for. Bottom line, if you're managing your own build, you're also managing your own money. And a missed payment or delay because the draw didn't come in, that's stress you can avoid if you plan for it up front. After everything we've covered, the stress, the cost, the decision fatigue, the risk, you might think, why would anyone sign up for this? But here's the truth. People GC their homes every day. Not because it's easy, because they're driven. They want to build something they can't find on the market, save money, stay in control, or just see it through because it's theirs. One owner builder said they swung the hammer on most of their house while working a full-time job. I don't know how they did that, and saved 600 grand doing it. Another said, I now have a wonderfully efficient house with pride in every stud and nail. That's not just savings, it's another level of ownership. And it's really impressive. And maybe that's why you're here. You're not trying to prove something to anyone. You're trying to build something that reflects you, how you think, live, and how you raise your family. You're not afraid of the work. You just want to be prepared. If you've made it this far in this video, you're already ahead of 90% of first-time GCs. You're not walking in blind, you're asking the right questions, and you're learning from other people's mistakes before they become your own. Whether you decide to GC your own project, work alongside a builder, or bring in a team early, what matters is you're doing it intentionally. Not out of fear, not because you got burned, but because you know what it really takes. If you want more structure, I put together a free resource called the Artistic Home Planner. It walks you through the early phase of planning your build before you even start designing and helps you make clearer decisions with way less risk. Inside, you'll get a roadmap of the full design and construction process, a cost guide worksheet for early ballpark estimates, questions to help you pick out the right architect or builder, a design brief template to help organize your thoughts, a readiness quiz so that you could see where you're strong and where to focus next. You can grab the planner using the link in the description. Thanks for watching. If you want more guidance on building smarter, asking better questions, and designing a home that actually works, subscribe. If you want more help choosing the right team or knowing what to do next, check the description. I'll keep it updated with any new videos or guides that might help you. I'm rooting for you, no matter how you choose to build.